We are in seasons where people come and go out of our lives, and you have a hard time facing the reality that that person, at the end of the day, if it's meant in your season, if they're meant to go, then it's meant to go. And truth be told, if I'm telling you the truth, if that person does not love you, if that person does not reciprocate what you have been giving them and you have been trying hard on your end, then it's facing this harsh reality, this true fact that that person is just not meant for you. That person is just not meant for you. It's not necessarily about them. It's about how they make you feel. When you ask someone in a relationship, they always say, oh yeah, he makes me feel this and he makes me feel that and she makes me feel this when she makes me. And like, you see how in the sentence it bounces back to me on how that person has made me feel. When your foundation and the starting of the relationship was not right and it's broken, it becomes a bit scary for some, because it's now that piece that makes me feel secure. That piece is now in jeopardy of being gone. And so that's why you're seeking, okay, how do I get someone to love me? How do I get someone to stay? How do I get someone just to not leave from my life? But it starts with recognizing that it's not them necessarily, it's about how you feel with them. I can sit here and I can tell you and I can convince you and say, look, and what I tell you is true, because it's not about them necessarily, it's about how they make you feel. And it's that portion that if it is about them, it's probably like a 10% of it. But it's about how you have felt around them. Let's say you do find out exactly what do you need to do to have that person fall in love. You know the formula, what you need to do to have that person fall in love with you. What do you need to do to have that person stay? What does your relationship look like then? Because if you're that desperate enough to have that person stay in your life, or to fight for that person to stay in your life, what does a relationship look like now? Does that relationship, is it going to last 5 years? Is it going to last a lifetime? Is it everything that you wanted and more? If this amount of energy and time that you poured out to have that person fall in love with you, is it everything that you wanted and more? See, what ends up happening is that you say, no, I don't care what you say, I love them. You're blindsided by this love and you don't get it, and in that same time you're kind of robbing yourself of that self-love from you. But you're like, I am full force, I'm gonna get that person, right? You get that person. Do you think that that is everything that you want? That if you did all this, it's going to last a lifetime? I want you to confidently say that. I want you to actually put into question how that will actually look like. Because if it does not look the way it looks, then your relationship will be this on and off thing that it's obviously that's not what you want. Because if you had poured much of this relationship, and it doesn't necessarily have to do that it's with you, probably that person is just not feeling it. Probably that person really doesn't love you. Probably that person also was just meant for a season in your life, but you have yet refused to see that. And so it's just like, it's not necessarily that, oh, you did something wrong and they finally fell in love with you, but there's this inconsistency that a person is not at 110 with you. You will receive that inconsistency in your relationship. It will not be a firm foundation. It won't be everything you wanted it to be, especially in the way that you have fought for this relationship. So it starts not on how to get someone to love me. It's how do I get myself to love me? If you want a love that is profound and amazing, and you know that it's out there because you have faced the reality that the person you are with, or the person that doesn't love you no more, is going out for the season, it's done, it come and goes, and you know that a person is reserved for you, you know you're getting the best of the best. Shouldn't you know that it starts with you? It starts with learning to love yourself. It starts with putting yourself first. It starts with recognizing that your energy is precious. It starts recognizing also that any negativity, you have to put a barrier or start saying no, because oftentimes that's what ends up depleting us and making us feel that maybe I'm not enough, or maybe I'm not pretty enough, or maybe I need to do this more. It's starting a list of things of what you need to be more. But when you recognize on what you are and who you are, and you know, yeah, baby, I'm this and I deserve this, and I'm only gonna get the best of the best and higher up than this of what I am. When you start to recognize that energy and who you are and loving yourself, I promise you that person will come. You won't have to jump through hoops and obstacles to have that person fall in love with you. Why? Because you love yourself. You don't need to be in a relationship to feel what you want to feel than when you are in a relationship. It starts with loving yourself. It starts with being confident with yourself. It starts by recognizing that you have flaws, but you still, nevertheless, of the flaws, you still love yourself. and you're still going to choose yourself. And you see, what ends up happening is that you guys seek this relationship and you love the feeling of what it comes with. But once that relationship goes up in flames, suddenly your whole world is falling apart because the foundation on which it was built on something that was breakable. Realizing that when you learn to love yourself and you know that I'm in love, like that person is not going to be competing with someone else. They're going to be competing with me, with how I have loved myself and how that person can love you more than you love yourself. I believe there's this beauty that you have to learn to recognize that if you love yourself and you have this positive energy of who you are attracting the best things to come for you. But if you are so busy loving others, you are carelessly letting go of who you are. That is a disservice to you. And if that is a disservice to you, then it would also be a disservice to the other person who is paired up with you. Because you can't help others if you have not helped yourself. You can't give the best if you are not at your best. And it starts with, where is my energy going? Who's taking energy away from me? Who's making me feel a certain way? Why am I feeling this certain way? Identifying your negative emotions. You don't identify these negative emotions, so you just bury them. And you think, oh, at some point I'm going to resolve them. At some point, I'll go with a therapist. It stacks up. It really does. And when it stacks up, you have suddenly become the product of those hurts. You have suddenly become a product of what you have already stacked up. Now it's not this light, beautiful you. Now it's this you who is filled with heavy hurts. Now it's this you who is filled with insecurities. So how are you to attract someone great, something good, if you know you want that, but you are already filled with all these insecurities that will pose as a threat to the present relationship that you're in, or the relationship that is coming to form? You just have to first work on yourself first, and you have to know that by faith, that person is there for you. At the proper timing and the proper season, that person will come for you. And in the moment, you're gonna have to learn to recognize, face the reality, approach it in a way that's positive. That one door is closing, another one is opening. And it's for the best. If you have that longing to feel loved, have that longing to feel loved by yourself first. I want you to recognize that it's not a formula to have someone to fall in love with you. That at the end of the day, you have to factor in, it's not on what they have given you, it's also of what you have felt out of that relationship. And I want you guys to have faith that once you begin to work on yourself and have that hope and faithfulness that person is waiting for you, you are just becoming the best, better self of you. And that version that's so beautiful that you have yet to find yourself, that maybe you are finding it in that relationship, you are going to find it in yourself. And it just takes time, because I know that there's a process of pain and hurt, but I promise you that after you overcome that pain, that process of pain and hurt, every tear that you have cried, every hardship is going to be transformed into something so beautifully. And so I want you guys to keep that in mind. It's not a formula. So thank you so much for watching. Stick around for my next video to come, and I'll see you guys in my next one.